We are at the Grand Cayman Liberty Forum with another speaker from the event. Nick Giambruno joins me now. He's also a senior editor at KC Research. Nick, good to join you here.
Yeah, thank you.
And what a volatile Wednesday for gold, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, I should say that your title is also the globetrotting protege of Doug Casey. How did you get that title?
Well, I work with KC Research, and what I do with them is I run the International Man website. Doug's first book was called International Man. It came out in the late 1970s, and this website is a continuation of the mission of that book. So for that website, I go around the world looking at different opportunities for people to diversify, to invest, and that's pretty much how I got that title.
What was the focus of your talk was how investors could best position themselves freely in the global marketplace. So what are some takeaways that you hope the attendees will leave with?
Yeah, sure. I talked about diversifying political risk. Now, this is something that's often overlooked. We all know about holding uncorrelated assets in your investment portfolio, and in that way you kind of reduce the overall risk of the portfolio. In the same sense, you can take different components of your life, your citizenship, your bank account, your investments, and put them in different parts of the world, in politically uncorrelated countries. And in that sense, you can really reduce your political risk, or the risk that comes from governments. So that's what I focused on, and that's a risk that a lot of investors don't really think about, because they kind of concentrate whether their investments are in one country. So if they have a brokerage account, it might be diversified amongst asset classes, but that brokerage account is physically in the U.S., and that subjects you to a lot of risk.
So Nick, how does gold play a role in a portfolio for you? How do you see it?
I see gold as money, as international money that's not subject, it's not under the complete control of any particular government. So if you're looking to reduce your political risk, which is really the main theme of what I'm doing at International Man, probably the easiest thing you can do is take your fiat money, which is obviously under the control of government, and put it into something that's recognized universally all around the world, and that's gold.
Now, if we look at a day like today, Wednesday, with just gold just up and down, do those fluctuations concern you? How do you handle them?
Well, I can only really speak for me personally, and I take the long-term view, so this volatility doesn't really honestly bother me. I'm not shaken out by it. I haven't sold any gold. So yeah, the volatility does not bother me at this moment.
And how do you like holding your gold? How do you like accumulating it?
Well, there's a mix. I like to hold physical gold in safe jurisdictions. So my favorite jurisdiction for holding gold is Singapore, because it's sort of a gold trading hub. So I like to hold gold in private vaults in Singapore. That's one way to do it. I also like to invest in the junior mining companies as well. So I like to have a mix of it. And then I also like to have physical gold within my possession. Right. So I like to kind of split it between those three things.
And is there a percentage? Is it 5 to 10% higher?
I don't really keep a percentage. I just look at my situation. Everybody's situation is different. So that is, they've got to look at their portfolio and make that decision for themselves. Now,
you mentioned the stocks. Let's talk about mining stocks, because I know Doug Casey is a big fan of the mining stocks, and he just sees this time as really a buying opportunity. But I get a lot of readers saying, well, we've been told it's a buying opportunity, but these juniors keep hurting. What's your point of view?
Well, one of the things I do with International Man on internationalman.com is I look at crisis markets for the Crisis Speculator publication, really blood in the streets types of opportunities. So there we've looked at, we look at, it's extreme contrarian investing, where we look at countries that are in crisis. We looked at Cyprus after their banking collapse, and we found some really good bargains on their stock exchange. We're looking at Russian stocks. So we look at different stock markets around the world for extreme valuations, so that are very beaten up. And if you look at the Toronto the Ventures Exchange in Toronto, it's as beaten up as almost as beaten up as Cyprus and as Russia and other countries that have had literally blood in the streets. So if you have a long-term time horizon, I agree with Doug, it's a good time to buy.
So Nick, we're at the conference, and a big focus of many of the talks has been the US dollar. What do you make of the rally we're seeing of the US dollar? Do you think its strength is here to stay?
No, I just see it as a function of there not being the perception that there aren't any better alternatives. And I think that'll change in the long run, and especially with what's going on. I think there's another round of QE is inevitable. In the long term, there will be alternatives. So I think that's just kind of a short-term move.
So you think they ended QE, but they'll just simply to restart it?
Yeah, I think they have to restart it. I don't think that the U.S. economy can really. It can't be independent of QE, and I think it's just a matter of time before they reintroduce it.
So we spoke about gold, we spoke about some currency, but what are you liking right now as an investment?
Well, I'm partial to those blood in the streets types of opportunities that we see in markets that people don't really want to go to. So I'm looking at Russian stocks, I'm looking at Cyprus, and also I'm looking at stocks in Iran. If they're to come to some sort of agreement, and if Iran were to open up. So I'm really looking at these markets that are, quote unquote, hated or nobody else really wants to touch, and we do that in our crisis speculator.
Nick, it was a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much, and safe travels home.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela.
And thanks for watching our coverage here from the Grand Cayman Liberty Forum. I don't think we're running back home with all the snow they're getting, but we'll have more coverage for you throughout the week. So be sure to send us any comments or feedback at newsfeedback@kitco.com. Thanks for watching.